Hello, and welcome back to NexLore. In this video, we're returning to the familiar horror series, Fears to Fathom. If this is your first time hearing about Fears to Fathom, it's an episodic psychological horror series created by a developer known as Rayll. Each episode tells a chilling short story from the perspective of someone who lived through it. The stories featured in Fears to Fathom are submitted by players to the developer by email, and the events we see in each game are presented through the narrator's own account and perspective. So far, Fears to Fathom has released 6 stories. The first 5 make up the original run, while the latest, Scratch Creek, can be considered episode 6, and the beginning of a new branch of the series, called Fears to Fathom Together. It still focuses on self-contained horror stories, but this time, the key difference is that more than one survivor is involved, and the experience is built around online co-op. Before we get into the analysis, let's quickly recap what happened throughout the game. Scratch Creek follows 2 characters, Tessa Langley and Marcus Reed, a young couple preparing to move away. The reason for the move is that Marcus has landed a good job in Washington. According to their plan, they should have left in the morning, but the night before, Marcus had stayed up drinking with some neighborhood friends. So by the time they finished loading everything, it was already close to 6 in the evening. Tessa worries they should wait until the next morning, but Marcus insists they leave that night and assures her everything will be fine. After nearly 2 hours on the road, they finally reach the highway. Marcus estimates that they still have another 6 hours to go. Not long after, their GPS warns them that the highway ahead is heavily congested, so it automatically gives them a new route along a different road. After following the detour for a while, Tessa is surprised by how unnaturally empty the road feels. The wind becomes strong enough to bring down a tree. The weather also starts getting worse, blocking the road ahead. Marcus and Tessa get out of the car and drag it aside so they can keep moving. Later, they stop for a break at what appears to be an abandoned gas station. They're surprised to find a man living there. He immediately seems irritated and makes openly disrespectful remarks toward Marcus, ignoring the man's hostility. Marcus and Tessa continue their trip. As their car climbs a hill, Marcus notices a warning light flashing on the dashboard. Something is clearly wrong with the car, and the engine is beginning to lose power. Before they can figure out what to do, another vehicle appears behind them. The driver starts honking repeatedly, pressuring them to speed up. As soon as Marcus and Tessa clear the incline, the impatient driver pulls onto the shoulder and passes them in an extremely dangerous way. They keep going until they reach a small town called Scratch Creek, where the couple decides to stop at a gas station and ask the locals for help. There, they meet a young man named Harry. After hearing what happened, Harry takes a look at the car and quickly determines that the problem is in the cooling system. Harry says it should be an easy fix, and with a few basic tools, the car could be running normally again. Then an older man suddenly appears behind him. The moment Harry hears his voice, he visibly becomes nervous and tells the couple to wait outside the store. After speaking with the old man for a while, Harry comes back to the couple. Strangely, he now refuses to repair their car. Even though he had just offered to help, the couple tries to reason with them, but the older man, later introduced as Buck, only agrees to patch the car up, just enough for them to reach a nearby mechanic named Bill. Following Buck's directions, they drive to Bill's house. When Tessa and Marcus knock, a woman answers the door. At first, she assumes they're missionaries, but once she understands the situation, she calls Bill over. After giving the car only a quick inspection, Bill says he can repair it, but not until the next morning. That means the couple can't continue their trip tonight. Bill can't let them stay at his house, but he recommends a nearby motel run by a woman named Julia. While walking toward the motel, Tessa finally tells Marcus directly that leaving at night was a bad decision from the start, and everything happening around them is getting stranger. Yet despite all those warning signs, Marcus keeps making decisions on his own, based on advice from people he has only just met. Instead of listening to Tessa, when they reach the motel, they meet a woman. This is Julia, and she initially seems very kind. Julia understands their situation and readily offers them a room for the night. While showing them around the property, Julia also points out a door guests are forbidden to enter, claiming that important supplies are stored inside. While Marcus is in the restroom, Tessa suddenly sees a panicked young man rush downstairs. He curses, mutters something difficult to understand, and quickly leaves the motel grounds. After Julia gives them their room, the couple notices several odd details in the way she speaks and behaves. But after such a long and exhausting day, they decide to get some rest. After Tessa finishes showering, she suddenly realizes there are no towels in the room, so she asks Marcus to call the motel staff. When Marcus calls, Julia tells him all the employees have already gone home, so if they want clean towels, Marcus will have to get them himself from the basement of the church behind the motel. The whole arrangement sounds unnecessarily complicated, but Marcus still agrees and heads outside to get a towel for Tessa. Marcus goes through the back door, crosses a cemetery, and reaches the church basement. After finding the towels, he tries to leave, only to discover the basement door is locked. Marcus tries to message Tessa, but his phone has also lost signal. Back in the room, Tessa hears someone knocking. It's a motel employee claiming he brought the towels. Feeling uneasy, Tessa refuses to open the door, but the man keeps insisting that she let him inside, even after Tessa repeatedly tells him no. Meanwhile, while searching for another way out, Marcus discovers a strange underground passage. Following the tunnel, he realizes it runs from beneath the church to the forbidden door Julia warned them about earlier. Marcus suddenly runs into a motel employee, who becomes angry that Marcus entered a restricted area. After Marcus explains what happened, the employee says nothing and simply walks away. On his way back to the room, Marcus decides not to tell Tessa, because he knows that if she hears what happened, she'll panic and want to leave immediately. Back in the room, Tessa tells Marcus about the employee who kept knocking on their door. Something doesn't add up because Julia had told them over the phone that every employee had already gone home. After what just happened, that was clearly a lie. Marcus then remembers he forgot to sign the guest register. Tessa tells him to rest and offers to go downstairs herself, sign it, and get some water. After signing in and grabbing a drink, Tessa runs into Julia. Julia tells her that an employee saw Marcus trespassing in the restricted area. Tessa explains that Marcus had been sent to get towels, so there must have been some kind of misunderstanding. Back in the room, Tessa is upset that Marcus hid what happened in the basement. Only then does Marcus reveal about the tunnel between the motel and church. But this only makes Tessa angrier, because Marcus made the decision alone again, claiming he only kept quiet to avoid worrying her. Too exhausted to keep arguing, they drop it and go to sleep. At around 3 in the morning, Tessa wakes up sick from the cold and heads downstairs for water. Downstairs, Tessa overhears Julia talking with a mysterious man. They seem to be discussing hunting people. At that point, Tessa realizes that she and Marcus are spending the night in a place controlled by dangerous people. Back in the room, Marcus discovers that a stranger has entered the bathroom. He hides under the bed until Tessa returns to the room. Together, they run downstairs and hide in the basement while a group of masked people searches for them. Once the group lets its guard down, Tessa and Marcus make a run for it and head back to the car parked at Bill's house. When they arrive, Marcus and Tessa see Bill talking to another man, revealing that Bill is also working with the people from the motel. By now, the group is searching the entire forest for them. After waiting for the right moment, Tessa and Marcus unhook the car and use it to escape. Luckily, the car makes it to the highway before dying again. Afraid the group may still be following them, they call the police and wait by the road until morning. After the police investigate, Marcus and Tessa are shocked to hear that officers found no suspicious evidence at any of the locations they reported. Marcus wants to go back himself and expose them, but Tessa stops him. She suspects the local police may be covering it up too. That wraps up Scratch Creek's main story. Now, let's break it down. As we've seen, Scratch Creek follows Marcus and Tessa on a disastrous moving trip, which leads them straight into a dangerous group. They barely escape, but even after reporting everything to the police, no evidence is found, suggesting the group may have ties to local law enforcement. One major clue is the mysterious man seen speaking with Julia. He appears to be the same police-badged man hunting Marcus and Tessa beneath the motel. And if some of the masked figures look strangely familiar to you, and you're wondering whether Scratch Creek might be connected to Ironbark Lookout, another story from fears to fathom, then your instincts are probably right. Scratch Creek and Ironbark Lookout appear to take place in the same wider area, the Ironbark region. The figures Marcus and Tessa encounter in Scratch Creek and those seen by Jack Nelson, seen in Ironbark Lookout, seem to belong to the same cult, the Old Scratch Temple. In Scratch Creek, inside Julia's motel, there is a book in the reading room that the player can interact with. The book describes the history of the Ironbark region. Beginning in the 1850s, during the westward migration and gold rush, many families settled in and around these forests. But after living there for some time, they discovered the land was far harsher than expected. The trees were so dense and tough that saws and axes wore down unusually fast, earning the region the name Ironbark. By the 1870s, logging companies arrived with advanced equipment, making large scale. But a new problem emerged. Workers reported strange events after dark, unnatural silence, the feeling of being watched, and even the landscape seeming to shift, causing people to get lost. These incidents made logging increasingly difficult, and by around 1890, operations had largely ended. As the story spread, locals began calling Ironbark cursed, and the area was gradually abandoned. Then, in 1892, the state of Washington acquired the land and established a nature reserve. Even so, the reserve gradually became a financial burden for the state because it generated little income, while becoming the center of numerous legal disputes. By 1897, Ironbark Reserve was reorganized as Ironbark State Park and promoted as a peaceful outdoor retreat. Tourism continued, but became harder to sustain as reports of missing visitors increased. After the Great Depression began in the early 1930s, many families were forced from their homes and searched for undeveloped or largely ignored land. Illegal settlements soon appeared along the edges. By the late 1930s, economic recovery and relief programs gave many families a chance to leave Ironbark. Some stayed behind, including people with extreme beliefs that had pushed them away from mainstream society. That brings us to the Old Scratch Temple itself. Another book found at the motel claims the group was founded in 1939. It describes their goal as living a simpler life, away from the noise of the modern world. It also says the group's ceremonies were always held at night. A note written by someone named Connor to Julia. Connor is especially important. He seems to be the same ranger Jack talks to in Ironbark Lookout, and possibly the man wearing what looks like a police badge. Connor's note suggests that the book doesn't tell the full truth about the Old Scratch Temple. A covenant found in the church also reveals the group's beliefs, including worship of a supreme figure known as the Morning Star. During the first conversation with Julia, she also mentions another group formed by younger members, called the New Temple. So it seems both groups may worship the same entity, but the key difference is that the old temple follows far more extreme rules. One major clue appears near the end of the old temple covenant inside the church. A line states that everyone is welcome, but that the descendants of Ham must give way to the followers of the temple. In the biblical tradition, Ham is one of Noah's 3 sons. Historically, the so-called curse of Ham was later misused to associate African peoples with servitude. So language about the descendants of Ham can function as a racist justification for slavery. In simple terms, the Old Scratch Temple appears deeply rooted in racist ideology. We see this several times when Marcus and Tessa interact with the man at the abandoned gas station. Buck, the mechanic, Bill, and even Julia, they consistently show less respect toward Marcus because he is black. At Bill's property, we can also see a Confederate flag. During the American Civil War, the Confederacy was formed by slave states that broke away from the United States. The mysterious man Bill meets near the end may seem unfamiliar, but he appears to be the same driver, who kept honking behind the couple as they drove up the hill. His house also seems to be near where the fallen tree blocked the road. If you look closely, you can even see him watching the couple from inside. This brings us back to the mysterious black man who he was likely another victim of the Old Scratch Temple, captured for a ritual but lucky enough to escape. With him gone, the cult may have needed a replacement, Marcus. That could explain why someone later breaks into the room and kidnaps him. The ritual the old Scratch Temple planned may have been similar to what Jack witnessed. In Ironbark Lookout, some kind of sacrificial burning, but there still isn't enough evidence to know exactly what role the ritual plays in the old Scratch Temple's beliefs. The final detail is the tunnel Marcus finds beneath the church. It seems to run under the cemetery, where several coffins have been disturbed. My theory is that this could point to grave robbing connected to Julia. Scratch Creek reminds us to plan long trips carefully, be cautious around strangers, and avoid isolated roads at night. And that wraps up the story and my theories on Scratch Creek. The 6th Fears to Fathom story. If I missed anything or got something wrong, let me know in the comments. And remember, these are just theories. Don't forget to like, share, and follow NexLore Game Analysis for more game stories, theories, and deep dives. I'm Nex, and until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Your smile is all I need. I'll be here in the corner. I'll keep your hands warm. Pray that it's over soon. I'll keep protecting you.